everybody and their neighbor. Welcome back to Gear and Gigs. I'm your host, Jet Stone. As always, I am thrilled that you're here with us. Now, stick around for this one. This is going to be interesting. I have with me Reg. Reg, how are you doing?
I'm good, Jet. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Reg has brought forth his new pedal board design. Now, this is a follow-up to the recent shows we've done about making your guitar and bass not sound like a guitar and bass. And so apparently he's taken that to heart. He's been watching himself and our show and got all inspired by us. So hopefully we can do that for you guys too. But he's going to tell us a little bit about what he's concocted here, show us the board, but it's a little bit more than that. So let's find out what's going on. Reg, take it away.
All right. Yeah, you're right. It's not in-depth, certainly not any kind of deep dive into any particular pedals or any kind of review or anything like that. But like we were doing, use 2 or 3 pedals to make your guitar or your bass not sound like a guitar or bass, right? And you're right. I enjoyed those, and I thought that was kind of a fun concept. And I just decided to build a board with that in mind, and that I did. Some pedals that we've used previously, but this is going to really focus mostly on the Earthquaker's Data Corruptor, which is an insane pedal. It's got 3 parts with its own mixer. And what we'll probably start off with on this is not the crazy oscillator madness that it does, but it has this insanely good square wave fuzz that I'm going to dial up first. So I'll just play a little clean bass, then a little effect with the fuzz, and then maybe bring the envelope phaser into the game or not, because I think we've kind of played with these two in previous videos anyway. But focus more on the old Pigtronix Resotron, which is a crazy filter pedal that has an oscillator too. So between the Data Corruptor and the Resotron, 3 oscillators. So, if you want to really make your bass not sound like a bass, all you got to do is add some oscillators in there, and all of a sudden it's something completely otherworldly. But
so
that's the basic idea.
So you've got the Philosopher King, which can act as an envelope, a swell, and a
right. But it's not now.
You're just using it as a compressor.
Only using it as a slight gain and some even slighter compression.
Okay, so the only envelope then would be the envelope phaser, right? What's the night wire again?
If I use that, although isn't there an envelope on the Resotron? I believe there is.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, there is.
An envelope on the Resotron as well.
So you've still got.
You can run it the different ways.
Technically, 3 oscillators and 3 envelopes at your disposal, though. And then the night wire is. I'm sorry. What is the night wire again?
That's a harmonic trem.
Harmonic trem.
Which I may or may not include in just to make everything wobble after it gets crazy, but because I think we've done that before as well.
We have, and then you have the transition on there. What's the transition?
The transition is basically a Guitar Center exclusive version of the flashback. So it's the TC flashback with some different. What do you call those things that you can load on there? The tone prints, right?
Oh yeah. So that has a modulated delay, right?
It has a modulated delay, which is what I generally use on it. I don't know whether we put that on or not. Maybe we get crazy at the end and turn a bunch of stuff on and just go crazy. But the main focus is really going to be the Data Corruptor with the fuzz, especially into the Resotron, and possibly into the filter of the Pigtronix Envelope Phaser, just because, right? Because that sounds great with a fuzz behind it. Anyway, so signal chain. It'll be no surprise to you, but the old 2002 Deluxe P bass with that big fat humbucker. Wish they still made them like that. But in the beautiful candy tangerine.
Yes, with the parchment cream.
Yes.
Pickguard, so it looks like a dreamsicle.
It kind of does. Yeah. Doesn't taste like one, and I'm not saying I tried it. I'm just saying it doesn't. So bass going into this board, which is completely. You have a little mini TC tuner, Philosopher King, Data Corruptor, Envelope Phaser, Night Wire, Resotron, the transition, which again probably won't use, but its main purpose is it's stereo, so it's splitting out to the 2 amps as usual. So Walkabout and M3 carbine which are coming out of the DIs, out of the back of the heads, and directly into the board, which does the AD conversion, and that's that.
Okay. So technically stereo, although the signal you're providing, unless you turn on the transitions, is a mono signal.
Yeah, it'll just be the same thing out of both sides unless I turn on the transition.
Okay.
And even then, on the modulated delay, it won't be that stereo.
Right.
You know, a ping pong would be more obvious, but
Gotcha.
you know.
Okay.
But yeah, it really just feeds the two channels. So I'll turn my vocal mic off. I'll do a quick clean, and then we'll go to the data corrupter and just do the fuzz by itself, and then we'll go into the Resitron and get a little crazy.
Okay.
There's what we got. Okay, here we go. Vocals down.
Sounds good.
Pretty gnarly fuzz.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now some Resitron.
What we just heard a minute ago was both pedals, right?
Yes, but it was only the fuzz from the
Only
data
the fuzz
corrupter.
component
Only
of the
the
data
fuzz,
corrupter,
yeah.
and then the
And it was
Resitron.
all the wacky was coming from the Resitron.
Okay, so now we're going to hear just the data corrupter.
Just the data corruptor, but with its own internal oscillator.
Gotcha.
Oh, that was just a little mucking about.
There's it's constantly surprising. There's an element of comedy occasionally.
There is. I love that. Yeah, anytime you mute the strings, it immediately will just it'll slide down, and you can make that go faster or slower. But the thing is you have the choice of that or that crazy vibrato, and the vibrato is more comical, I think, at every level. Right? It's just like wah, 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 all the time, and
Oh,
but anyway, it's interesting.
yeah.
It's a very interesting pedal. It's one of those. Only Earthquaker would make something like this, exactly like this, and my God, it's like, what else is really like it? You
I
know,
can't think of anything that's like that. Yeah.
not exactly. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy synthesizer pedals, but they just always, I love that company. It's one of my favorite pedal companies, as you know. I'm a big fan of their pedals. Also, Pigtronix, like their stuff too. The big clunky analog stuff they used to make, but the Resitron too. That's a little one.
That's true. That's true. So are we going to hear this mixed in with some other pedals?
You know what we could do is yeah, you really can't mix what I just did with anything else. Although I could put some delay on it, or I could put some harmonic trem on it, just for
Or envelope phaser is what I was thinking might be
right. We
interesting.
could do that with just the fuzz. See what happens here. I'll give it a go.
yeah.
That was a little bit of mixture going on there.
I like that though. That stuff at the end, and you turn the two things that I didn't like, the comedic things, and turned them into non-comedic, really cool things. It's amazing.
It's random, very random, but I dialed in, which is the nice thing. There's a lot to love about this data corruptor, first of all, and there's already a million videos about it. I mean, guitar players, bass players, everybody loves this thing. Everybody who has one loves it. But having that little 3-band sort of mixer at the top and being able to use just the fuzz if that's all you want without all the crazy. And then what I did there at the end is I was using the fuzz and I was using the envelope phaser. For whatever reason, it didn't seem to trigger the envelope the way I would normally like it with just a regular dirt pedal or something. So even the grid on the Philosopher King triggers it better. But then with the night wire kind of wobbling in there and the delay on the end, it was like, okay, well, this is getting a little wacky. Why don't I dial in just a little tiny bit of that oscillator, right? Which is tuned at a third, so I'm getting a third harmony plus I'm not getting the octave down because I didn't dial the octave in. But you still get that dive bomb, right? But the dive bomb with the other modulation and the delay at the end was completely different, right? So, it was cool. I thought it sounded pretty cool.
Very cool, very synthy. Can you try it with, instead of the the data corruption distortion, using the grit from the Philosopher King, but use the oscillator from the data corruptor, and then the envelope phaser, and then the night wire, and then the delay?
Okay, so no fuzzy.
No fuzz from the data corruptor, grit instead from the Philosopher King.
Oh, gotcha. And then just turn everything else out. Yeah. That's what we're going to have.
All right. Oh, can you give yourself a bit of attack or fade with the Philosopher King?
Could do that too, yeah.
Yeah, just a bit, not a lot, but just a little softening on the front end, and maybe just an extension on the back end.
It's got lots of sustain. All right, here we go.
All right. We want to see what it'll do if it takes the fuzz from the King.
And I still got the phaser on too.
Oh yeah, man, I'm
Okay.
making all kinds of stink face over here. You just
Yeah, I mean,
that's just so cool.
okay. So, and here's the really cool thing is a lot of the stuff I'm doing right now, first time I've ever done it. It's like, oh, because I literally just put this thing together as a, oh, these would be fun,
Well, they
right?
are.
And
That sounded like how there's whale song. That sounded like Loch Ness monster song.
okay, kind of a long neck. The sustain though, all that sustain is coming from the Philosopher King,
It's
right?
had this liquid cinematic size thing. It was leviathan. It was incredible.
I liked it. I thought it was. I'm gonna keep this board together for a little while,
Yeah, that's something.
and I'm glad I did. I really am. I'm glad I did it because I just assumed these would probably play well together, and they kind of do.
Yeah, yeah, they really do.
Now, you can still make sounds that you wouldn't really want, but yeah, you can make sounds that would kind of really that you do.
So just to recap, what effects did you have on at the end there?
On the end there, we were using the Philosopher King for both the compressor and sustain, as well as a moderately slow envelope, attack envelope on the volume. Feeding into the data corruptor, only using the master oscillator at a 1/3 up harmony. Into the envelope phaser on filter envelope mode. So it wasn't on the LFO. It was just being
Okay.
triggered. Which again, when I was triggering it with the fuzz, it really wasn't behaving the way I would want it to. And when I was triggering, oh yeah, we were also using
The
the
grit.
grit on this. So we were doing the three things with this first pedal. But that grit was doing an amazing job on it. I thought it was way better than the fuzz. Although I'm sure glad I got that gnarly fuzz on here because
It's different. It's
that's
just a
a
different
gnarly
character.
it's a gnarly fuzz. Yeah, it kind of does a little bit of the sputtery stuff. I think I was mentioning it to you earlier. It's kind of like a like a what do they call them the fuzz
Like it's like the original Maestro Fuzz one, like the FZ1 or a Fuzz Face. Maybe it's got
yeah
a lot of that Velcro ripping
the
thing.
fuzz
If you
factory,
said it.
the Evex fuzz factory because it's
Oh yeah,
sputtery.
yeah, yeah. There you go.
And then also a little bit like I used to have a
Or
I
tone
haven't had a
bender.
lot of fuzzes, but I had a supersonic fuzz gun by Death by Audio. And that was a super sputtery, like out of control, and in such an awesome way. And this kind of reminds me of sort of heading that direction, maybe not going quite that far, but
Well, they threw off the guardrails on that pedal compared to
yeah, they
Sims.
did.
And the Philosopher King's kind of the same way. It's got more capability than you can use, and you almost have to tame it for your situation to make it work.
Oh, yeah.
All of these pedals are like hot sputtering messes if you're not careful.
I have the compression knob because it's a single knob on the ratio, right? So just called compression, and it's about at 10 o'clock. So, and I think the max this thing will do, I'm not sure how far it'll go. 8-1, not 10-1.
I don't know.
I don't even know. So I never know. I just do it by how it feels, right?
Right.
And it feels this is a good 10 o'clock is a good feel. But then it has the sustain knob, which kind of would seem to me like part of the compression as well. And that's almost at 3 o'clock. So, because I just like that. You don't have to use sustain, but if you want it, it's right there, right?
Well,
You just let it know, and
it makes the bass less like a bass because you're affecting the envelope and making it more synthy, right? More.
yeah, there's all that too, right? It kind of
Anything you can do to alter that or to take it away from the original starts to help you in that regard, since synthesizers by their nature have all capabilities, but basses
Right.
are more limited. So as soon as you change the envelope, you've changed things. As soon as you change the filter, you've changed things. As soon as you add in distortion, which is not a regular bass thing, all these things. So as soon as you combine them and have them interweave with each other and throw in some harmonic trem and delay. So that's another way to get an incredible sound. I think we'll all agree, some incredible sounds from some pedals and a bass,
Yeah.
essentially. So, have
I
fun
mean,
with
not
that.
that you couldn't get yourself a synthesizer or something, you know. But
It would not have been as expressive as that, though. And you know, you said yourself
like,
you're doing it for the first time, but if you
I found
as you learned to play it, you were getting more expressive with it, and you found that, like, I saw you hit a vibrato with your finger, and that created this cool filter thing that accentuated that vibrato and made it sound really synthy.
Sort of kind of triggering the envelope a little bit on
Right.
that. It was kind of. And I've, you know, which I couldn't get it to do with the fuzz. It just, I think that overpowered it.
Well, fuzz is very smooth, whereas the grit's got some things to hang on to.
Some gritty stuff, some
some granular element to it that's going to make the filters and other things have more to grab onto those sharp edges versus the fuzz, which can be pretty smooth. You know, we didn't try the grit into the fuzz, but I bet that also would be interesting if they were both put into moderation.
Yeah, in moderation. All things in moderation.
All things except for Death by Audio and
except for Death by Audio, in which you're gonna overdose, but you're gonna go down happy.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys had a good time with this. I know I did. It started out in a very different place sonically than it ended up, and it was quite an interesting ride. But quite a pedal board that Reg has come up with there. I think we can all agree, and I hope to hear more sounds from it as he learns to tame that sucker. Because, you know, he's got a bit of a bucking bronc under his fingers at times with that. So, thanks for coming up with that. And thanks for watching the show, Reg, and taking Gear and Gigs advice. That was awful nice of you, too.
Yeah, you guys are funny. Funny looking, too, but funny for sure.
Yeah. And until next time, thanks, everybody, for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And for Reg, I'm Jet. I'll talk to you later.